Welcome, everyone. It's Bryan with Mobile Electronics Association and Friends with my ever faithful co host, Elias, back with another Where Are They Now? The Industry Awards finalists. It's been a while, man.
It's been a while, but I've also lost track of all of our guests. So I feel like we've had a few already. So
Yeah. So we are on episode number 8. And our last guest was Jeff Smith. No. Sorry. Ada was our last guest.
you see, you
See,
see,
yeah, Jeff was Wayford.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
yeah. So I decided we're gonna do this. I'm gonna start keeping a log because we need to be able to keep track so we don't forget who we have done and be able to keep a list going forward of potentials.
We've had a lot of great people on, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
And our wish list of who we want as far as guests. I mean, it's long, but the cool thing is, everyone that we've had on are people that represent our industry to the max.
Yes. Yes.
Passion, dedication, you know, just everything all encompassing. And it's great to be a part of that. It's great to hear the stories. It's great to hear their stories. Because at the end of the day, the reason why we do this is to really share that
Yeah.
and to motivate others. So it's it's great.
I love it. I think it's funny. I think we should mention too that of we've had really good luck with getting every person we've wanted to have on
Yep.
except one.
Except one.
And I'm not calling that person out at all because we respect that
It's
not
tough.
everybody's going to want to come on, and it's not a not I don't want to participate. It's a
They were camera shy. It's okay.
yeah, they're
Okay.
camera shy. Some people, they're not for this, so I
Right.
totally get it. Um, I was just it was surprising.
Well, maybe that changes in the future.
And who knows, maybe, yeah. But
Today's
so
guest is really exciting, though.
yeah, yeah. This guy is he's YouTube famous. Yeah, I think we could call him YouTube famous.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we can.
yeah.
The great part about our guest today, and I've been following his work since probably, you guys are going to laugh at this, but remember when iPad floating in dash things were in there when that whole thing was taking
Mm-hmm.
off?
Yeah.
Well, it took off because I'm gonna give him little credit, and I could be wrong, but he can confirm in a bit. But I want to say either the first or one of the first iPad in dash was probably done by this guy. And when I
Okay.
saw it, I was like, this is cool. I'm going to follow this shop.
Yeah.
Over the time, as my progression in the industry happened, I got to meet the, person, become, pretty close friends with the person. And now we have the ability to, talk on a professional level, business level. So it's great.
Sure.
But I've been following his work for a long time to the point where, you know, I feel like the industry has evolved a handful of times, since then, so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
at the time he was still doing cars, in a heavy sense. And, now his business model has evolved and maybe it's a little bit more weighted a certain way percentage wise, but he is great for the industry. He is great for knowledge base of everything. Like I could say like the encyclopedia of know it all.
Kinda. Yeah. Yeah.
One of those things where you ask him a question, he probably has an answer, whether you like it or not.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
kind of it's the raw truth. That's how I'm going to say it. The real deal truth.
I can see him nodding his head in the back room there. Yeah. Huh?
We'll,
You
we'll,
might not like it, but that's what it is.
yeah. So I say we bring him in.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, there he is.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mr. Ramirez. How are you?
Excellent.
Good, good. So our guest, for those who don't know, is Carlos Ramirez of NVS Audio in Roselle, New Jersey. This is Mr. Motorcycle these days.
And let's not forget Trusted Tech.
The second, uh,
Ooh,
the second.
okay.
That's a fun story. We'll have to get to that in a little bit, but that's a fun story. Um,
So now I got to know iPad in dash, confirm or no confirm?
Me and Doug from Soundman did the install on the same day. It was the day the iPad was released. So before it got released, I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. This would be the biggest screen possible in a car. And basically, it's a big iPod. So it means I could plumb it into my DSP and get signal out of it. And it will give me everything you could ever ask for in the dash of a car. So Doug had the same idea. And I thought everybody was doing it. I didn't realize it was a big deal till I started getting like 10,000 hits on YouTube and getting phone calls like crazy. Then I realized that Doug and I had released the install video on the same day, on the release day of the iPad, and it became a major part of our business for a couple of years after that.
Yeah, I
that's
remember that.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
I only did a couple of those back in the day. I just
It was a labor of love. That's all I
it
can say. Because
it,
when I,
it
when I
was
yeah, it was.
yeah. I think the way I was trying to go about it, I made them overly complicated, and yeah, just wasn't my thing. I did a couple.
The current market proved that we were going in the right direction because every company makes a 10-inch screen now.
Right. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
10-inch screen with Apple CarPlay, and I didn't think the float mounts would be that popular. Almost every client that walks in, I didn't think they'd be popular because they don't look factory in a lot of cars. But
Yeah.
then the manufacturers started building float mount screens, so now they actually look like a standard Mercedes screen, and clients ask for it all the time, all the time, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't see them happening as much because of that transition, both on the OEM side and the aftermarket side.
Oh, I took the iPad out of the dash of my Jeep and went with the 9-inch Alpine because it's just easier.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
Everything's kind of built into that function nowadays
Yep.
where we
But
had to
think about
make
it,
it work.
it took like 12 years to catch up.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that it took that long because in that's kind of what was the typical form of aftermarket versus OEM for many, many, many years. It was actually a thing for like GM for years that they actually had it, in their product testing that any product that they were going to release into a vehicle had to be tested for 7 years before they could implement it. So everything they were doing by the time they got to it, we'd already done for 7 years.
And they also copy whatever we do.
Well,
So
sure.
stuff that we do becomes standard,
Right.
but it gives us the opportunity because only the upper trim level cars will have it. So on the base model, it gives us the opportunity to always sell and upgrade.
Yeah. A lot of that has since gone away. But there's still a lag in a lot of the stuff that we have the capability of doing. I think where the challenge comes nowadays is being able to interface.
Yep.
Yeah. So Elias mentioned that he started following you way back in the day. We met at a training, but I don't remember what was that 2014, 2013.
Been so many great, great moments in my career that they all jumbled together. But
I
I
just
think
remember
it
there
might
were
have
a
been might have been
bunch of
before
us
then.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe there was like it was a really good group of people at that training, and like people that we're all still friends with, or at least communicate with semi regularly. Um, yeah, man, it's been a while. I can't too many years. It's
Funny
gotta
part,
be at or close to 10 years.
yeah, I agree with that. And the funny part is that's the main reason I went to the training. I was already getting tens of thousands of dollars to build custom cars. So I didn't think that I needed to learn that part, and I was wrong because the trainer actually improved on what I was already doing.
Yeah,
But it was mainly to meet guys like you guys and network, and because I was great locally, but I
right.
needed to branch out and collaborate with people from other states and it tremendously helped my career.
Yeah.
Tremendously helped my career.
I will agree that anytime I've done any kind of training like that, been a part of, the people you meet, it they all have an impact. Every single time, they all have an impact. And I can't say that I could think of any that were like drastically negative. Not all are the same impact, but they all have an impact.
Hey, you have
Kind
to
of.
like take, like the networking, the learn something, you know, business talk or the owner talk or the sale.
Hmm.
You take that all encompassing. And if you have a positive outlook on, self-reflecting or self-reflecting for the business,
Yep.
you're going to learn something.
Absolutely.
You're going to absorb it. I personally say networking to me has been the most influential and immediately impactful.
Yeah.
There are things that I've learned in like a classroom setting that, even though I don't work on cars, I'm like, I'm glad I learned that, because
Yeah.
You guys
yeah,
are both a perfect example because I met Bryan in training. I met you in training, and then when they replaced my rep for HKI, they replaced with somebody that I was already cool with and friends with. And then when I became a dealer for Diamond, Bryan is my guy at Diamond.
Yeah.
So it's just easier to transition when you know, trust the person that's in the position, and then you can get things answered more quickly. You can get help. You can know you can trust the person you're dealing with because they've been to training with you.
Right.
You know their
Well, and
background. Go ahead.
like I think that there's when you have some kind of relationship, and it doesn't have to be a big relationship, right? Just I've had guys that have called me that do Diamond or Serwin Vega that are like, I met you at a training at Knowledge Fest. You presented stuff on LEDs. And I'm like, holy cow, that was like forever ago. That was like 9, 10 years ago. But they remember meeting me and they're like, oh yeah. So there's that instant, just even if it's a minute amount of trust and faith in the person, and having developed reputations like we all have, that we do try to help people. I think that helps our business, whether it's retail, on the sales side, on the tech side, distribution, whatever. I think that helps a lot in the industry because we are so small.
yeah. And I will say, like, you two guys have like a much bigger following because you do face the industry more immediately, with the YouTube, with the tech support, and you guys probably touch and help a lot more people routinely, almost daily, in a massive quantity. And imagine all the people that you guys are kind of leading, within the industry. That's, I'm going to say it this way to both of you guys as a kudos. You guys are shaping the way for a lot of young talent, even some of the mid-level talent, some of the seasoned expert talents. So that's pretty awesome. You know, you guys have been doing a lot longer than I have, but I aspire to have that kind of impact on the industry in that capacity someday. So something to strive for.
It's
Thank
something
you.
that I said on stage when I won one of my awards years ago.
Mhm.
I used to read car audio and electronics magazines cover to cover, and I'm looking at all these guys and they're competing. They all know each other and they had this killer network, and it was amazing. And then I said it on stage. This is our time. This is our network.
Yep.
This is what we're building. The same
Right.
thing they had in the 90s, we're building now.
Yeah.
And now I understand how it happens. Like I'd be nothing without my team and without the support I have in the industry. I'm only one person. I could have the greatest ideas. I can only do so much.
Right.
So if I can network with the best in the business, and if I have a client that's across the country, I have people I can hand them off to and know for a fact they're going to be taken care of properly, that makes my brand better. And I can't do
100%.
that by myself.
100%. You hit the nail on the head by saying it makes your brand better. That's something that I've been looking at a lot lately, where I think, um, you know, back in 2016, 17, up to COVID, that was something that we all touted huge. Build your brand, promote your brand, and then COVID happened, and we had all these guys, these people that had started shops right at, or just before COVID, and they got lucky. Money just fell in their lap, hand over fist, and nobody understood what it meant to build a brand. And I think that's something that's going to have to make a resurgence in the industry to for certain people to be successful.
Yeah,
Um,
100% right. I called it. There were shops popping up because there was so much free money. And I
mhm.
called it. I said, a lot of these shops are going to be going out of business because they don't know what it is to go through a rough patch or a rough season. And they're depending on brands to make them successful. And once that goes away and the free money goes away, what do you have to offer?
Right. It's funny because I know Elias has heard me say this a bunch of times, and I know you and I have had this conversation. In fact, I think we had this conversation when we first met. There are too many business owners that have no business owning a business in mobile electronics. Our industry made it too easy and too accessible, and we see and I pick on installers because I was one of them. You were one of them. Like some of us, there was a lot of us, right? But we see the owner making a ton of money on what we do. And I can do that. You don't see what that guy does in the background. And too many guys, and it's not just installers, but predominantly it's installers that go, well, I'm going to go open my own shop and make all the money. And sure, you can if you know
until
what you're doing.
until they're googling how to read a P&L report.
Mine was a little bit different because I started day one as an owner, started when I was 19. And then it's really easy to open a business and be cocky when you live at home for free.
Oh,
So you don't
sure.
have so it's really, really simple.
Yeah.
So I learned, I tell everybody the only reason I'm so good now is because I made all the mistakes you're gonna make when I was in my 20s.
Right.
So a lot of these guys are starting in their 30s and 40s, making mistakes that we made when we were 20. And it's $1 million
Oh,
mistake.
I made those mistakes in my late 30s doing it. I can do that, but I also looked into what all I did the research beforehand. I already knew how to read a P&L statement. I knew that you had to have garage keepers insurance and you had to have business insurance and all of these things, and but there's a lot of people that don't, or they don't care. And yeah, so I want to get on this one real quick for a minute. We talked about this before. So a lot of people, I don't know if we've talked about this a lot, Elias. Trusted Tech kind of, it was an award that became another award, right? So the first 2 years of the Trusted Tech, the award was the runner up to Installer of the Year. That was Ledford and Ott were 1 and 2 for that. Then in 2015, it became its own designated award, which is, I think, as soon as that happened, Carlos probably thought the same thing I did. That's my award, right? Am I wrong?
Actually, yes, and you'll agree with me. The very first year it came out, we all knew it was going to go to Shaughnessy, and he deserved it, and everybody was behind him.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the way it went down. And then after that, we said, okay, now it's our turn.
So yeah, it was. Well, Shaughnessy didn't compete. Shaughnessy was years later.
Yes, but we knew that if he
But
competed,
but
none of
but
us had a shot.
right, yeah. I mean, everybody was like, yeah, he needs to win. So I remember you and I were in the top three, right? It was you and I and a guy from Lakeland Speed and Sound or something like that out of Florida. I don't remember the guy's name. I just remember the shop. And I remember you and I were both sitting right next to each other, right? And we're sitting there, and Solomon calls out the award, and they're doing the thing. And I knew sitting there, I knew that was your award. Like I didn't even plan to have to get up. And I remember sitting there, and they called my name, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, because I knew in my head it was you and not me. And you looked at me, you're like, bro, get up.
Yep.
I didn't
And
get it.
I was standing on the top of my seat, screaming and yelling. I was your
Yep.
biggest fan that night
Yep. Yep.
because I don't look at it as you win or I win. I look at it as my team won.
We win. We win because we support each other. And and then the next year it was your turn. And then it was Ada. And then it was who was next? Shaughnessy was next, right? And
See,
then
but everybody you mentioned is on my team. My
Right.
team wins.
McNulty.
Yep, my team.
Um,
Adam will
so
tell you it's his team if he was here.
so Elias and I before just on another small tangent, Elias and I pitched something to MEA this week. And do you remember, I don't know if you went, do you remember going to Knowledge Fest when Schmiedel and Ramsey and Doug and Chris Rogers and all them did that? It was like at night, it was in a room and they had all these little stations set up and you could go learn how to use an oscilloscope or work a meter or do different things. It was like a tech thing. Do you remember that?
That was before my time.
That was before your time. Okay, so they did that. It was like this little stations thing, right? So Elias had this idea of doing something like that where you have like 8 stations and each one is 15 minutes. So it's like 2 hours total, right? And came from a conversation about having people trying to draw people to the floor at Knowledge Fest on Sunday. So the idea is that the first one we do, and it's all things that you can do, like you can whatever is presented, you take it home and can use it tomorrow. It's not something you have to invest in, it's or anything like that. It's something you can already do tomorrow. So, like I threw out there, um, something that's really fun to do is teach guys how to use a meter and a test tone to set crossovers because everybody's got a meter. We talked about that earlier. So it could be 8 different little nuggets of simple things like that. The first one, all 8 trusted techs
That
in
works for me.
Vegas. Everybody come to Vegas. All the techs come to Vegas, and we have these little tables set up. And Elias dubbed it Trusted Tech Corridor. And you just have all 8 trusted techs, everybody teaching their one little, you know, nugget of information that you can take home. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a specific thing with a meter or a tool. It could just be a trick that you know to do things differently or to be more efficient or whatever the case may be.
It's one of those things like me as a salesperson. If I learned one of those things, whether I physically do it hands on, that's not the goal for me. It's I've learned something.
Right.
Whether I
Right.
put it to practice, not really the case. But if I put it here, now I'm able to coexist in a different bubble space that I normally wouldn't.
What makes you one of my best sales reps? You and I have a couple of other reps are the same. They'll call me for technical knowledge to help them on the sale. So
Mhm.
that way, when their client has a real world question, you can show them how the product fits and how it's used in real world. And it provides value. People don't understand 90% of the sales reps out there are terrible and don't deserve their position because they don't understand what their job is. I know what the part number is. I can call in and order it myself. Your job is to help me be better, help me provide the solution for my clients without going over budget or wasting money. So you know what my needs are, you know what my clients are, you've gone to training, you understand the product, you understand my specific store and say this is a strategy we should come up with so you can hit maximum rebate and discounts and not be stuck with too much inventory. We have these conversations all the time.
Right.
That's what a rep is to me. Most reps are not allowed in my store at all, period. Because I feel you need to earn the right to come to my store and take up some of my time. Elias, you can come to my store anytime. You're welcome anytime. You are a partner of mine.
I
So
appreciate
you've earned that right. And I've got a lot of years in. And then as I get more popular and as I get busier, I realize the most valuable thing I have is my time. So not everybody deserves it. So putting the time in like you guys have earned you the right to use up my time. That's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it's so true what you say, and thank you for one, and two, it's one of those things where I'm always student mode. Like even when I'm around you guys, I just listen. For me, I'd rather be a fly on the wall than to be like the fly with the mic. I'd rather learn, 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 and that's something that I always take away when we're networking at all of our events. It's pretty much the same faces, but I'm just
Mhm.
listening. I'm like, what am I going to take? What am I going to take? What am I going to take? And then someone asks me a question. I'm just like, I just want to listen. Like I don't want to talk. But
Right.
it's encouraging, it's motivating, and the reason why we do this podcast is to kind of give that back to everybody else. We could do this without recording and just consume time and have fun, but it's one of those things. We do this because of the passion that we give our all to, for the industry, for everybody else.
Right.
And that's honestly, you guys were talking about the awards and how you guys cheer each other on. For me, I'm so happy and so like, to me, I like others' W's and wins better than my own. That makes me happy. Like, it's more fulfilling. I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but when I see my friends win, it's a great feeling.
Absolutely.
It's a great feeling. Like, to me,
Yeah.
that's like the ultimate like rush. You know, I remember when Carlos was on stage. I remember when Ada was on stage. I don't think I was there the year you won, Brian, but
That's okay.
you know, it's one of those things where, like, seeing your friends win, it's a great feeling.
Also
Absolutely.
pushes you to do better.
Yeah.
Like I get tired of hearing because I have a lot of awards. I've been made top 50, I think, past 12 or 13 years straight. So I've heard some people say it's just a piece of paper. Well, get yours. Get yours. If it's
Right.
just a master certified for the third time, get yours. I don't know anyone that's been top 50 numerous times that doesn't have a great shop or a great following or great work ethic and a great network. So it's just a piece of paper. Fine, get yours. I have mine. Get yours.
So were you I don't know if you were in Vegas this year for the awards. Um Rick Kojan, I've mentioned this several times on the cast. Rick Kojan had a statement about, he was talking about it like, oh, it's just a popularity contest. That's what everybody says, a popularity contest. And his response was, well, yes, but it's a work your ass off contest, right? It's a work your ass off contest. And I will never forget those words from him, because those of us who have competed, and I'm not saying guys that competed once or twice, those guys still have the respect, but I like watching the guys that go year after year after year after year, because they make top 50 and then they try for top 12, and some of them make it. Again, if you go from 50 to 12, that's a very small number of people. It's just barely over 10%, right? Or sorry, 20% of the group that make that. And that's, like, if you get top 50, um, a couple years we've had 80 or more people put their name in the hat for top 50.
Here's a pause to that. When it was 100, top 100,
When
and
it
then
was the top 100 and there were 170 people trying to make top 100, right? Think about that,
Another thing
and then
people
you go
don't
to the top 12.
think people don't understand. So let's say it is a popularity contest. Fine. If there's so many voices giving out the wrong information on the internet, so if you can develop a following and recognition, it gives you a platform to put out the correct information. There's a lot of people that complain. There's a lot of really smart guys that complain, but they're not helping. They're not contributing to the industry. So you're complaining, you're not helping. How about you become popular? And that way you have a voice, you have a platform to stand on that people listen to. Another thing people don't realize, I had somebody tell me the other day that I'm only busy in the shop because I'm popular on YouTube and I make so many videos. I'm like, you missed
Okay.
the point. I have to be right. I can't make a video, 10,000 videos, and be wrong and still be popular. So anything you put on the internet has to be provable for you to maintain your credibility. So
So
go ahead.
so
I'm very careful in what I post, and I always have the paperwork to back it up.
right. So there's a caveat to that. Be popular. You know what that's called? Marketing.
Yes.
It's called marketing, people. The
Marketing
most
your brand.
popular the most popular businesses are the busiest because everybody knows them, right?
Trust.
If you're, and you can't, we could say, okay, well, look at Alpine and all that. You don't count like big business. You don't count Walmart. You don't count big chains because they have more dollars to market with. But the guys like you and Pate and Tom Miller and Jamie Shue and all these guys that have businesses that have Matt Schaefer is another one, that have people that come from all over the country to have a vehicle built in your shop, right? I don't care where you're located. It doesn't matter. If people trust you enough to travel or to ship their vehicle to you, you're doing something right. And it's called marketing.
There's a double-edged sword to that too. What people don't realize, when you're popular and it's all eyes on you have to make sure you do the right thing, because if people start complaining, they're going to do it publicly. They're going to attack you publicly because they know everybody's going to see it. So you better make sure you do the right thing and
Yep.
continue to do the right thing, because the same popularity that got you busy will bankrupt you.
Oh, good. For sure.
It's
For sure.
it's
For sure.
it's one of those things where be the expert, live what you preach.
Yes. Yes.
That's
100%.
that's what I tell everybody: be the expert every day, and
Yeah.
you'll
We
be successful.
I have spent the last year of Diamond Audio trainings at Knowledge Fest and distributor shows of be the expert. That's what we're promoting. Be the expert, and that's probably what we will continue to promote. Is be the expert in your market. Number one, because that's where it matters most, right? But if you being the expert garners your market to be, a larger area, keep being the expert. Be that guy. Be that shop. Be that person. Whatever it takes. Okay, so I got a question for you, Carlos. Because we haven't really talked about it. We've just been on this big long rant about fun stuff. Give us a little history of your industry experience. I mean, you mentioned that you started out as an owner at 19, but give us a little bit of the history and tell everyone what your current role is in
Okay, I
electronics.
started I started in high school doing installs for friends, how we all start.
Mhm.
Then I rented a garage at a friend's house that used to cost me $200 a month. I paid my way through electronic school doing installs. Um, the teachers used to come up to me in class and ask me if I could do remote starts in the parking lot during lunchtime. Everybody knew I was the 12-volt guy. So for the longest time, so going to electronic school, actually, I was already doing it professionally. Going to electronic school taught me what I was doing wrong, or why stuff worked or why stuff didn't work. I was just doing installs following the manuals, but then going to electronic school actually showed me the way electronics works and what the parameters were, what the laws of physics were. You can never escape the laws of physics.
Yep.
So once I graduated school, I figured that was it. I would leave my hobby and get a real job. So I got hired 2 weeks before I graduated, and I started working at Canon. So I had to go to suit. I used to go to work in a suit and tie every day, and my mother was so proud and happy to see her son go to work in a suit, because that means he's made it. I worked there for about a year and a half. One of the best techs with the best numbers. I've gone, so they had me in a really aggressive training program. They had me trained in 20 machines in under 2 years, but I was never happy with the job. And I still continued to do installs on the side and at night. Then it got to the point where it used to cost me money to go to work. I can go to work and make 200, or I can stay home and make 1,500. So I quit. My mother was so upset. Her exact words were, "I can't believe you left that good job to go play with cars." So I outgrew my small garage and got an official storefront. My mother happened to visit me one day. I had 10, I'll never forget this day as long as I live. I had 10 clients in the showroom. My mother walked in. I was so busy, I didn't get a chance to talk to her. I said, "I'll be with you in a few minutes." An hour later, when I was done with all the clients, she was gone. So we had a conversation. When we got home, she's like, "Where'd you get the money to do this?" I said, "Playing with cars." She's like, "How'd you qualify for a loan?" I didn't. I just worked really hard, saved all my money, and reinvested all my money. That's how NVS Audio came to be. Then I moved into a bigger shop. Then I moved into a bigger shop. I'm the type of person where I don't buy a new toolbox until my toolbox is full. I don't move into a bigger building until it's costing me money and I'm losing work by being a smaller building. So I believe this is our seventh building in since 2005, and we now have two locations. I don't consider it two official locations because the other shop's only a mile and a half away from this one. But it's got its own staff. It has it's my Saul's my shop manager. He manages the entire shop. I don't go over there unless he has a problem. So we have two shops, both busy, both running at full capacity. He's responsible for numbers over there. I'm responsible for numbers over here. And we've always built custom cars. The motorcycle thing happened by accident. So the iPad thing was really popular for us. Then custom trunks were really popular for us. Then the motorcycle thing was actually one of my car clients that we did a big build for. He said, I have a competition bike. He goes, it needs a DSP because he knows we put DSPs in every car. So we put a DSP in his car. He goes, it definitely needs a DSP. And he says, it needs one of your wiring rescues. So I was like, all right, no problem. I was like, bring it down. So we scheduled him in. I knew I was in trouble when I told him to send me a picture of the bike, and he sent me a picture of the cover of Bagger magazine. The bike was on the cover, full custom show bike, custom turbo, giant wheel. It took us 2 weeks to build custom wiring for this bike. When we were done with the bike, I said, I never, ever, ever, ever want to do that again because it's not
Psych.
what I'm comfortable with. It was way too much work. I didn't want to do it. So then he went to a show that weekend and took second place. And this is the bike we didn't build. All we did was add a DSP and wiring rescued the bike, and it took second place. So my phone starts ringing off the hook that Monday. First client they called told me he heard the bike and he liked it. I told him I wasn't interested in doing any build that crazy ever again. He said, I just want to hear it over my exhaust. Okay, so I took the client in. Bullshit. And ended up being a full blown competition bike after rebuilt it 4 or 5 times. But the client, he's one of those wants to be the best. We ended up rebuilding the bike 4 times, and he would leave my bike at his bike at the shop and borrow it for the weekend every couple of months and then bring it back. The bike never left the shop. So two turned into four, turned into eight, and all I did was take everything I've ever learned in training and apply it to motorcycle audio, and it's worked really well for us. So everybody wants to do the low end, they want to do the cheapest. I go after the higher end market where when you're dealing with a Mercedes customer, you don't want to cut anything, you want to interface.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing we do on the bikes. So we do plug and play harnesses. We've created our own plug and play harnesses for just about any DSP on the market. And if you want a client that's got a $60,000 bike to trust you, show him. First of all, I have 6 demo bikes, so you're going to hear something that you like at the shop. I'm invested. I don't believe in leaving your bike at a shop that doesn't have. It's like having a demo car at the shop. This is what your car is going to sound like. This is what the work's going to look like, and it's worked for us. So if you don't like any of the 6 bikes that we have here, then maybe we're not your shop. Maybe you're not our client, and it never
Sure.
happens. That same bike that we rebuilt 4 or 5 times, I now own. I ended up buying it from the client. He needed money to start his trucking company. Nobody had touched the bike electronically but me since the bike was new. So I knew what the bike was worth. The bike only had 2,000 miles on it, so it was a no brainer for me. No, it's a bike I'll probably never sell. It's one of our best demo bikes. And it's everything all 3 of us have gone to the same trainings. I'm successful because I apply the same thing we learned in training. The training was for car, but it's the same principle for the bike. Treat the bike
Yeah.
with respect, be honest with the client, find the right solution, sell a solution, don't sell a specific brand, and we crush everybody with our warranty. We have a no questions asked 3-year warranty on anything you buy from us. And it works really, really well for us.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
That was great. And I will add one more thing, and I think we spoke about this, Carlos. When Jeeps were becoming popular, he went out and bought a Jeep.
Yes,
And
that's something that I do. Demos are so powerful. I know Bryan has a demo car for the longest time. When we first met, I had a Del Sol, he had a Prelude, demo cars for our shops. And if you have a demo to show a client, you will turn a $3,000 build into $6,000 just like that. So when any market that I wanted, I had the Honda market, sold my Honda, got a Acura, so I got the luxury car market, got a Escalade, so I got the luxury SUV market, bought a Jeep, and the only thing that's close to the profitability of motorcycles is Jeeps in this area. So
Wow.
I've had 5 Wranglers, I currently have a brand new 2023 Rubicon. So we are the Jeep guy. We are the motorcycle guy. We are like, if a client will trust you if you can give them the demo in the same vehicle that they own. And then if you can show them this is how we build, this makes sense, then it helps you justify the fact that you're 2 or 3 times more expensive than the local shop that has nothing to demo.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Building
also
trust.
it's also one of those things where I always believe that a company demo vehicle should be the statement of, what your best work is, what the best product is. And, in essence, that becomes your top down selling. Either they're going to say, I want that, or, hey, you know what? I kind of almost want that, or I
Hmm.
want some of that.
To
And
build towards that.
exactly, exactly. But it's also one of those things where I always believe where if you build a demo vehicle and it's just like all the mainstream product, you're not really demoing much, like you're in your comfort zone. But if you make a statement piece, not only are you wowing the customers with what is available, you're blowing them around like, oh my God, I can do this, but you're also starting at the top. And best case scenario, they're like, yeah, exactly what I heard. I wanted that car. Or, I want most.
HKI demo vehicle we're building.
Oh, I know. I put the order together. I know, but it's one of those things where like, it's great to hear that story because, that means that not only do you, aspire to have, actual, statements of your work, but you're also aspiring to be relevant with everything that's, coming out, as far as changes. Like you went and got out a brand new Harley, was it 2023? Uh,
Or CVO, brand new CVO.
but it's
But
now you're adapting into that market, so now all those customers that are buying those, now you have, a talking point. Now you have a demo piece. Now you have the R&D behind it. So
Yeah.
that's literally why we bought the bike. It's a new platform for 24. So the headlights different, speaker pods are different. I'm sure Brian, you guys at Diamond are working on the new because everything is different. The amplifier's data can't be removed. They went to a new screen that can't come out. So this is a great opportunity for us because it's just like once the radios couldn't come out of cars, it was mandatory to use a DSP on everything. We're ahead of the game because we're using DSP on every build already.
Yeah.
But there's challenges on the new bike, and then we build custom harnesses for everything. So we had to get the new platform. I actually didn't want a CVO because they cost double. I wanted a base model bike because that's what most of our customers buy. Harley was smart, and they released the CVO 6 months earlier. So if you waited for a base model bike, you were 6 months behind the game. So we had to buy the bike, and we're hopefully gonna have this bike in SEMA. It's 3/4 of the way done. Just waiting on some one-off parts that are being built for us. But I tell my clients all the time, if the shop is not invested, it's not fair because we're invested, the client's invested, we're partners in everything that we build. We're trying to build a relationship. So even if the customer doesn't have $20,000 to spend all at once, we're going to come up with a game plan where we build it in 3 stages. I want to try and keep a relationship for life. I want to treat, and then one thing that I've been able to do with my success with all the money that we've made over the years is I used to pick brands just to pick brands. Now I pick brands for partnerships. I have a partnership with Diamond Audio. I have a partnership with HKI. I like to be able to text if there's an issue. My sound deadener. I can buy sound deadener from anybody. I buy my sound deadener. You know who I buy my sound deadener from because I want to support him. He's one of the guys I look up to in the industry.
Hmm.
He's it's who doesn't want to be that guy. So why wouldn't you support somebody? It's in your circle. It's on your team. It
Right.
doesn't matter if it costs more or less. That's completely irrelevant. If you're running success, you spend a ton of money with people you don't even know. Why wouldn't you want to spend money with people you have a relationship with and then hopefully have input in the company and that way it's a two-way street. I
Sure.
like I like it's all about relationships. I wouldn't be successful without relationships. I'm big on relationships.
Yeah. 100%.
this is, one of those things where, like you take everything you've just shared with us and we kind of sprinkle in the trusted tech part in, which kind of leads to our next question. And so your participation in the awards throughout the years, and we can emphasize specifically on trusted tech, because I feel like this correlates. Um, Obviously, everyone looks up to you. I do. Brian does. We have that. friendship base and that circle mentality. But you being Trusted Tech, how was your pre-Trusted Tech participation in the awards? How was that experience for you?
Something something I always found strange is I would see successful people. I would either meet them in person or I'd see them on TV. And something I felt odd was how humble they were. Because I've always been cocky by nature. Because coming up, my father taught me not being born in this country, you got to be twice as good to get half the respect of anybody born in this country. So I've always had that chip on my shoulder and always had to be the loudest in the room and always had to prove myself. So winning has actually taught me to be more humble because there's people that watch you and look up to you, and then you want to be seen in a certain light, and you want to be respected by your peers. So then the more successful I got, the quieter I got. And then I also realized that the more successful I got, the more I owe the industry that made me money that allows me to feed my family. Like when you guys invited me to be on here, I didn't have a choice. I had to do this because you guys are part of the circle that's made me successful. So I have no choice but to give back because I tell people all the time, I don't have everything that I want, but I definitely have more than I deserve. I'm a
Fact.
regular person. I
Yep.
get up every day. The difference is I work my ass off. I had a vision. Like we all know hundreds of people that started shops and went out of business, and some through no fault of their own, some because they just stopped working as hard as they used to in the beginning. So the internet came and took half our profits away with Amazon and eBay. And a lot of it, and I teach this in my social media class. The problem is a lot of shop owners sat there and just cried about it. So what did I do? So I lost a bunch of $300 customers from Amazon and eBay. So then I went on social media to promote myself and promote my company, and I replaced them with $3,000 customers. So I'll take that deal all day, every day.
All day.
So, and then the internet is available to everybody. It's free. The thing is, you have to make content. So a lot of these shop owners are used to paying people. I actually have a friend. I have a program where people, and this is part of being Trusted Tech. So as Trusted Tech, it is my job to help other technicians get to the level that I'm at or surpass me. So, and that goes back to being cocky. Everybody that I help, I tell them I'm helping you, but I'm also helping myself because when you're successful, it helps me feed my ego. So it's a great thing. And everybody that I help, I'm like, you don't owe me money. You owe me being successful.
Pay it
Because
forward.
if I invest, exactly, if I invest time in you and then you waste it, you've wasted my time, which is my most valuable asset.
Can never get time back.
So
So
I feel I owe everybody that's ever helped me, I feel that I owe them. And then being recognized, I feel that I have to give back. So it gives me a platform to speak on, and everything that I've learned, I feel it's my job to share. The
Right.
youngest fabricator that we have, Kyle, his father influenced him a lot. I influenced him a lot, and I tell him all the time, "You're gonna be better than me because you have something I didn't have, me." So if I had a me, it would have leapfrogged my career 10 years. So you get to touch lasers, you get to touch CNCs, you get to fabricate, and you didn't land at a regular shop that is boring radio and four speaker installs every day. How many shops touch a laser every single day? How many shops fabricate every single day? And then we're internationally known, and you actually got to land at a shop like that. So 5 years at NVS Audio is like 1 year at a regular. I'm sorry, 1 year at NVS Audio is like 5 years in a regular shop, and people don't understand that. You guys are all top 50. You guys know that not everybody does what we do. It's not
right.
being cocky, it's just a reality.
Not all
And
shops are created equal.
But it's also
that,
you set a standard by leading your guys, by starting with you, but also, it's got to be contagious for them because not only do they work for you, but they look up to you. So they're like, exactly what he's doing, I want to do, but I also have to do. It's setting a standard within, your brand, and that's huge. That's big. That's
something I, something I learned in sales class and training is, and the one excuse that I get every time somebody comes to train with me. So we have a training program here at the shop. You can come train with us. All you have to do is pay for your hotel stay. I will feed you. I will train you. I will put you on a bike. I will put you on a car. There have been times where we've ordered saddlebags just for and it's all free. And then that does two things. A, you learn when you're teaching. So it makes me better. And then on top of that, it helps me expand my network. So if you've come from Texas to train with us and I have a client in Texas, I'm sending him to you. And it's worked really, really well for us. And something that I learned in class a long time ago, because the first thing they tell me when they come to the shop is you don't understand. Clients in my market won't spend. Oh, it's different in your area. First of all, they don't realize they're being disrespectful because they're saying that the only reason I'm successful is because I'm in a rich neighborhood. First of all, I'm not. We're in regular medium income neighborhood, and most of our work comes from out of state anyway. So there goes that theory. So what I learned in class is even if you're in a poor neighborhood, somebody in that neighborhood owns the buildings, owns a Mercedes, and they need their car worked on. So the other 99% of the shops will cater to the low income. We cater to the other. I will never ever turn money away as long as working on your vehicle does not downgrade my name or my morals. I'll work on it. Money is money. But we end up getting higher end clients because we're the most expensive shop in the area. We're at $190 an hour. I understand not everybody can afford that. But there's a Lexus dealer within 10 miles of everybody's house. There's a Mercedes dealer within 10 miles of, and people can afford those cars. So those people can afford me. And it's worked out really, really good. I tell every shop owner that trains with us, raising your prices will solve 90% of your problems. You will get better brands. We have an advanced warranty program at my shop. So anything you buy from us, 3-year warranty. So we'll give the client a new amplifier, a new speaker. We won't send it back to the manufacturer sometimes for 2, 3, 4 months. So that means all that money came out of my pocket. So being that we charge more, there's an extra cushion to be able to offer excellent customer service. Whatever my warranty policy is with my client has nothing to do with the warranty policy with the manufacturer. So I've had warranty issues that you've helped me through. And it's simple. We're all in business to help each other. So I'm not going to write a $200 order and ask for a $2,000 favor. So I'm going to write a huge order to make it worthwhile for you. And I'll be like, by the way, I need help with this. I've taken care of my client. My client has your product and they've been taken care of. Now I need you to take care of me. And the companies never, ever say no to me.
Right.
But you have to have the money put aside to be able to do that. So we have advanced exchange program without charging the customer for it. It's just what we choose to do, and it works out really, really well. It's like buying on Amazon. If you buy on Amazon, you can send just about everything back. Doesn't matter if it's your fault. Doesn't matter if it makes it easy, so people are confident with Amazon because they know once they spend the money, they're not going to get screwed.
Right.
We've applied the same policy, and it's worked really well for us.
That's awesome.
So I was going to ask, how participating in the awards helped you develop you in your career, but you basically just nailed that
Yeah.
nail into the wall. So um
You're thinking.
I am.
A lot of shop owners forget to have fun. Like, there's nobody that's in the audio industry that said, I'm going to hop into car audio and make $1 million. There's not one person that ever said that. We hopped in because it was cool and we liked it and it was our thing. And
We
a
hopped
lot
in
of shop.
because we were grown children that grew up playing with cars. And we
Yes,
didn't want to
exactly.
stop.
Exactly. But somewhere along the line, some of these shop owners forget that and they start going after the most profitable part of the business, which a lot of times is the most boring part of the business. So I can make a lot more money than I make now, but I wouldn't like coming to work. If we were doing radio and 4 speakers every day, I would sell the shop or pay somebody to manage and go do something else. It's not what I want to do. So I try to take the jobs that can pay the bills, but they're also cool to work on. That way, when I sign a project to my tech, he's like, I don't work on that. I don't want to do that. So I try to not to take on work that I wouldn't want to do myself. And it helps with the shop culture and the morale. Like, it's
Sure.
awesome when I walk past and my techs are taking pictures of the wiring work that they did on an $80,000 car because they're proud
Right.
and sharing it on their social media and because it's cool. So keep cool in your shop. Like it's not always about the money. And then I have clients that come by just to show our demo vehicles to other potential clients. I just had a client here yesterday. So he wanted a demo of one of my bikes. I'm like, just hook up your phone. This is the maximum volume. And when the clip indicator comes on in the bass knob, just turn it down a little bit. And then I let him play, and I went in the fab room. That's you can't beat that. You can't beat sales like that. That is,
Right.
and then he's going to tell his friend, who's going to tell his friend. It's just, it's keep it cool. It's come on, man. A shop owner lets you play your music on a $70,000 bike. Come on, what's cooler than that? Your song with your phone on the loudest volume possible.
Yeah, and
I
as
have
you're walking
customers.
away or walking towards them, that grin is probably
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Right.
done deal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it comes down to whether they could afford you or not. And that's not your, what they have in their wallet has nothing to do with you at all.
I'll
It's
share this
just
with you guys, and I've taken a huge passion into this and over my years in retail. It's always great to influence all kinds of customers, but something that hits home with me and resonates with me is the younger crowd because that's how I got into it. So that hits home for me 100%. So anytime like the younger crowd would come in, I would show them around the store, show them the cool stuff, put them in a car, and you could tell that they wanted something. They wanted to start somewhere. And I had so many customers that started at that point that blossomed into, hey, I graduated college. Now I can actually afford all the cool stuff. But, even to this day, I have some of them that are close friends that are like, thank you. Because now I have a love for music that I can experience differently. He goes, one of my, close friends, who was like a 17-year-old, 16-year-old high school kid. Now he's probably like 30 years old, has, cool like Mercedes, like whatever AMG. But, because of me and me taking the time to showing him everything that was available and getting him hooked on it, I didn't turn my back on him. Where he shared with me that, he went to a lot of other shops and were just kind of like, bye, you know?
Right.
So something
because
that, something that hits home with me is always that segment of customer, not just, the customers that walk in with, the 911 or the Tesla or, whatever. You got to treat everybody the same because you never
and
know.
I agree, and I do the same thing. And that's, you could tell that that shop owner's being short sighted, or that salesman, because you're planting seeds that are going to grow in 6 months, 6 years. What people don't realize is, and a lot of people don't realize this, you have to train your clients. So when they're 20 years old and you train them and you get all their friends, you do their builds, they eventually age out. So everybody's got that one giant build that they do that was 10, 20, $30,000 that they'll never do again, and then they get the fully loaded Mercedes and they leave the stock audio. So then when you plant the seeds for the next generation, it's a revolving door where as your older clients age out, you've already been training the new clients coming in. It's, dude, there's very few 70-year-old guys that are going to come in and drop 30 grand on audio. But there's few that do it, but and the 20-year-old can't afford it. And then when he gets to 30, right before he buys his house, he does it. Then he buys the house and realizes he can't afford to do it again. So you have to start training the 20-year-old. And that's keep it fun. That goes back to keeping it fun. Don't forget why we got into this, and train. You're always learning, you're always training, and you have to show value. You have to provide, you have to, we don't sell amplifiers and speakers. We sell an experience. We sell a certain type of sound. And some people don't believe in the way that we do things, but we're really, and some people call us aggressive. We're not as aggressive as what I consider us middle of the road. We're not as aggressive as the competition guys, but we're not as moderate as the plug and play guys. So we're right in the middle because we like bass. Like when we build our bikes, almost every bike gets woofers in the bags. It's when I build a 4 speaker bike that doesn't have bass, I'm like, oh, it sounds good, but eh.
Yeah.
So we sell a certain type of sound, and and clients gravitate towards us. That's what
So
we do.
so I don't know if you guys have this, but where I live here in Texas, I grew up here. And how many times have you built a stereo system for a guy that's for Carlos and I that's our age that was, we were the kids in the 80s and 90s going, man, and now we're the dads, right? And like I have guys that I grew up with in high school that were my clients, when I was still doing retail, that they have that passion that we had, but now they're the dads and they're the business owners, and you know they have that money that we all wished we had when we were 20 something, right? And there's a term for what you guys are talking about where you're grabbing the younger as the older age out. It's called generational clientele. So what you'll have is you have, like I'm sure you have, Carlos, you have the dad or the granddad that's, 50, 60 years old doing a bike and bringing his son in who's in his 30s, and then that guy is going to be bringing his son with him, and it's that revolving door, but that revolving door is in the same family,
Yep.
and then they're bringing their brothers or their uncles or their daughters or their whatever, right? It's but it becomes a family of clientele, and then their friends, and as we know with bike guys especially, this is, man, I thought, it was a learning experience getting into bike audio as coming to the manufacturer, because I only did a couple of bikes when I was doing retail, but the way that motorcycle guys keep up with the Joneses. It's the one-upsmanship of, oh, I got this, and then his buddy goes and spends another couple grand extra, and or does the upgrade, and then that guy has to do it, and it's boom, 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 and then you just circle around, and it just, I'm sure you know better than I do of how much that happens weekly.
And here's one more thing to that, one little layer to that. The moment they trust you, all they do is tell their buddy, go see Carlos and do this.
Right.
That's
You,
it. Like the
you,
sale's done. Like
yeah.
if you do anything below that, I'm gonna fight you or I'm gonna yell at you, but you gotta just do this.
And once you sell one, you don't need to be the sales guy to 20, because you did one guy and he's selling you to the other 19 people.
Yep.
So
Done.
getting back to what you said about the generational, we actually have a client here now. He's waiting for me. He's in the Bay. We did his bike. We did his son's bike. Now he's from Massachusetts, so he drives 5 hours to be here. We're delivering his truck today. He's been here all week, stayed in a local hotel. So we did his truck, we did his bike, we did his son's bike, and then he's bringing his daughter's bike next time he comes down.
See,
That's
there you
awesome.
go.
Well, we're gonna segue into the last question. We don't want to keep your guy waiting too long. This is my favorite question because this is what resonates with me as a person, and same thing with Bryan. But for everyone in the industry that has participated in the awards or hasn't, or maybe has gone on a hiatus, what are some Carlos words of influence to encourage, the industry on why they should participate in the awards?
Okay, the awards is literally one of the things that helped make my business better in so many ways. It's one of those things that once I did it the first time, I knew that I would continue to do it and I won't stop. We all get into a rut after doing the same thing over and over in the cycle. Once you get in the awards, it builds back excitement. You start remembering because sometimes you'll forget. So the awards makes you relive certain things and then you start thinking about it again and you start getting excited. And like I haven't built a demo vehicle in a long time. So you just ship me the equipment for the shop demo, and I get to train my youngest tech, and he's excited, and he's coming in early, and he's staying late, and I literally have to shut the lights off on him, so because I gotta go, and then it's just amazing to get him excited, and then he just did his video submission for he's up for Rookie of the Year this year, so it makes him step their game up. So even if you don't win, you've already won. It helps with team building. It helps remind you of why we do what we do. And dude, it's not about winning. It's about being part. It's about participating. It's about being around like-minded people. It's the older we're like Bryan said, we're big ass kids. So there's really nobody that we can talk to on a day-to-day basis that understands our passion. Like this is what we do. It's a waste of time to you, not to us. So we get to be around like-minded individuals that invest their time, their money, they bring their families out, and then it's an experience that we create, and people don't realize that. And if it wasn't for the awards, I would probably just be concentrated on day to day and just making more money and implementing more systems. So the awards, it's our VMA awards. It's our like VMA awards does for music what well the industry awards do for 12 volt. It reminds you of why you got in the game and why
Right.
we do this. And then you get to travel. And some people never go on vacation. Their only vacation is going to the awards, and I see it all the time.
which is a shame, but yeah.
Yes.
But
I mean, how could you not want to be a part of it? Like, name
right,
something better than being a part of it in what we do.
It's like what
you
you
know,
said. Our VMAs, it's kind of like, I always relate it to sports because I'm a sports junkie, but it's our Super Bowl.
Yeah.
it's our Super Bowl, it's our Academy Award, it's our VMA. I think I don't remember who it was, Elias. You and I joked about it one time of like we need moon men. We need moon men for awards for something. I don't know how or what or where or why, but we need moon men. And maybe instead of holding a flag, they're holding a speaker or something. I don't know, but we need something fun. I just think it's silly. But
That was great. I took away what Carlos said. That's pretty impactful. I wrote it down. Even if you don't win, you've won.
you've won. Yes.
That's true.
100%.
That,
Because it
that's strong.
you know, I don't have the experience that a lot of guys have on the retailer side of competing as a retailer with a crew of guys, or being in a shop where you have guys that are competing. So, but I can imagine, if you're the owner of the shop and you've got guys that are excited about, when Saul ran for rookie, and you got a guy that's going to run rookie this year, and when everybody's getting excited to participate, it's got to make you think about when you were that guy competing, and it's like you said, when you get into it, it brings back the memories of things you do, but it makes us look back and reflect on what we've done for the last year
Let
and
me
maybe
interrupt you
what
for a
we've
second.
done. Yeah.
You literally just proved my point about winning when, even if you didn't win, you've already won. You just mentioned Saul. You've never met him,
No,
but you know his name because of the awards. You literally just
absolutely.
proved my point.
Absolutely.
Young
Well,
20-year-old kid from Staten Island. He's a 25-year-old shop manager, manages my entire shop by himself,
right.
and you know his name because of the awards.
And we know
You're in a
his name
different
because he's
state.
going to be on this show hopefully soon.
Look at that. It's That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're in Texas. He's in New York.
Right.
To have one of the industry leaders, to be one of the mentors in the industry, know your name. He's already won.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
it's one of those things, and I clarified with Carlos because I thought he had won the award, but it was one of those things where we were talking about this with Bryan. I'm like, I think NVS has a rookie winner, and obviously once you get to the top, I feel like you've won, but
Yeah,
it's
he was
one
a
of those
runner
things
up.
where I feel like I see the consistency of what you produce at NVS Audio, and that is a testament of your leadership and your mentorship.
Yeah.
And I think that makes you pretty damn proud.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
definitely does. It definitely. And you hit the nail on the head because I was in the shop the other day, and then we had two trainees from out of state, one from Mississippi, one from Canada, and the owner of the shop in Mississippi asked me what I'm proudest of and what my biggest accomplishment was. And he was surprised by the answer. It wasn't the amount of money I've made. It wasn't the amount of vehicles that we do. It's the training program that we put together, because you've been to my shop. I don't have 20-year veterans in my shop. Saul was a regular installer at a shop 5 years ago. Chris, which is my head motorcycle tech, was a mechanic 3 years ago. Leo was a yoga instructor. So I've put a training program together. When you work for me for the first 6 months, you don't get to touch anything. You sweep, you learn to solder, because it's 6 months before I can trust you. Have to learn our program first, and then it moves along. And then whenever a new tech comes in, I remind my techs that you were once that person and you have to pay it back. It is now your time to train them. And then it's great because nobody is qualified to come work in MVS Audio. Everything gets done our way. That way, if you're not here, the next tech that continue. It's like an assembly line. So I've put a training program together. I have a female on my staff that's a technician. Nobody had ever touched a motorcycle before they work here, and now they're producing work that's flawless. That's to a standard that we can be proud of, that we can warranty. That is what I'm most proud of, because it took my training, it took me flying to classes, and I took all those little nuggets and put them all together and came up with a training program that helps put together the MVS audio package.
Right. that builds your brand and creates your brand. So you mentioned something earlier, and as we kind of finish this up, you said that when we asked you to come on, you said you had to. Okay, you didn't have to. Now, and what I mean by that is nobody's obligated when we ask them. Nobody's 100% obligated. It's not a requirement of having been a winner or participant in the awards. Nobody has to. But what resonates in that is that you feel it is necessary because you wanted to do the same thing that we want from why we started this. It's to give back.
I
But if
agree.
you
You
remember,
know,
have any of you guys read Ed Milet's book, One More?
I can't say I have.
Oh, you guys definitely need to read the book. And in his book, he talks about you don't realize the opportunity you miss by not doing one more rep in the gym, making one more sales call, just one more. He made one extra phone call that got him $1 million deal when he first started his career. So I'm super busy. I have a ton of stuff I have to get to in the back,
Sure.
but I see value. So this is my one more. It's easy to say I'm busy. We're all busy. You're busy.
We're all
We're all
busy.
giving up our time. We're all busy. But I see value in it and it's worth it. So I have to do it. It's my
Okay.
one more.
I
It's
get
my
what you're
one
saying.
more. I
So
have to.
So
I want to say thank you for, saying you had to be on here. And what resonates with me was, that sense of urgency of,
yeah,
the industry's calling. And, I do it all the time. Bryan does it all the time. And it's great to have friends like you guys that, feel the same way.
yeah.
So,
Don't get me wrong. And maybe I worded that a little.
no, you didn't.
No,
No, you're
We-
right.
but
No, you were 100% right. You were
Yeah.
100% right.
it is 100% that you know. I'll be honest, Carlos. This is where my when I started the whole idea of this last year, of where I wanted this to go, it was I wanted to be doing something to give back. And after I did Trusted Tech, I had started doing the Resonance Live videos, but I don't have clientele anymore. I don't physically have the ability, or I guess not physically, more financially, I don't have the ability to just go buy a bunch of materials and do these little projects just because. So I had to come up with something in my brain. I was like, I need to be doing something. And this is what it became. It's let's give back by finding a way to share everybody's experiences that wants to share. We love doing this. Elias and I could come on here and just run our mouths for an hour, once a month and really not be that productive. But by having you guys that want to come on, it makes all of this more exciting. We get excited when we talk about who's next. And then when, when Carlos is like, hey, let's talk to Carlos. Yes, we got to have Carlos. And we get excited about when. And then it's like, okay, how soon can we get him on? And it's not because we're in a rush to get another cast done. It's because we're excited to have that conversation. We're excited to get that person on to share their experiences every single time we do this.
In closing, I'll leave you guys with this. I want to look back at this many years from now and be able to say we did this.
We as an industry did this.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Oh no, I don't care for that. I'm just
Right,
saying.
I know it. That was part of the deal for you and I. Is it's not
Yeah,
about us.
it's for me. I'm one of those guys that all encompassing. I want to include everybody and everything.
Yeah.
But I will. When I said we did this, I want to say in this period of time in our industry, we did this.
We did this.
Because
Guys, you guys might not see the importance in what you're doing, but I do because when we started this in the early 90s, there were so many more events and there was this and there was it. We have nothing anymore. And if you guys are on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast with me. Brian's on the West Coast. We get nothing, nothing,
Right.
nothing. If
Well,
we
I'm
get
in Texas.
remote
I'm not on
start
the West
training,
Coast. Maybe Texas is West Coast to you. But
Texas has a ton of events. You have so much more than we get. Elias telling we get nothing over here.
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
We get nothing 12 gold. Nothing.
we
Right.
will next
So
year. We will next year.
Next year in April.
oh, I'm super excited.
Is it
Yeah.
April? I thought it was June.
Oh, maybe it is June.
It's June.
June. April is Nashville.
Nashville, yes.
Yeah. Next year, Knowledge Fest.
My trailers will be
Atlantic
loaded up.
City.
No,
I'm
I have a
coming to
bunch of
your
my bikes
shop.
out there.
I'm coming to your
You're
shop.
invited anytime. Make sure you make time so we can have lunch and dinner and hang
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Don't
we're gonna make that happen. I might try to come out there before then. We might have to work on something for that.
don't run in and out. Make sure you spend time here.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
cool.
Carlos,
Carlos has a client, so thank you for your time. This
yes.
means a lot to us. It's always great to see you guys. And I guess we'll be seeing each other all at SEMA, I guess.
Yeah,
There.
we'll be there. Thank you, Carlos, again for making time with us this morning. I
Been
hope
an
you have a
absolute pleasure.
great Friday, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Wow.
This is the reason why we do this. I love it. I love all my industry friends,
Mm-hmm.
all the people that even, we haven't met or, whatever way we connect.
Yes.
This is the reason why we do this. And Carlos' story is a testament of, just like all encompassing, just like the desire and passion to push our industry forward to be better.
Yeah. 100%.
And he's a little rough around the edges at times just because he
That's okay.
keeps it real, but sometimes we need that.
Yeah. We know a few people like that, and we've had them on.
I'm looking at one right now.
Hey. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's like when keeping it real goes wrong. Remember that segment on Chappelle? That's you and Carlos and Pat.
Hey, we've all had our better than other days, and or
But sometimes
less
we
than
need
better
that.
days.
Sometimes we need that extra push. Even if it's a little bit more unfiltered.
Sure.
Sometimes we need that.
Well, I think a lot of that too is for guys like Carlos and I and Ada and some of us, we grew up in bays where we were pushing each other and talking shit to each other, and that's just how we did business every day. Kind of in a roundabout way, competing against each other to drive each other.
Yep.
And
And we still do that. Just we do it differently now.
we do it differently now because we're older. Um, but getting to talk to guys, and I don't honestly, I don't think it matters who we talk to. Sometimes it's exciting to get them on and hear their stories, because everybody, I think if you sat back and watched every one of these episodes as
Mhm.
they come about, you'll find something. It's just like going to training, right? You
Right.
might not learn 10 million new things, but you might find one little nugget. And it doesn't matter how big it is. It could be a little pebble of a nugget, right? But one little thing that helps you be different or be
Yeah,
better or push yourself or look at something in a different light that will improve who you are as someone in the industry,
exactly.
right? And it's interesting when I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't recognize myself as somebody like Carlos worded it as a mentor in the industry or as somebody who's influential nowadays, because
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in this industry that have come around have no idea who I am, and that's okay. But if you want to know, the information's out there. Or there's people out there that'll go, oh, Bryan did this or this, or Elias, man, that guy does these really cool things, and sales pro this, and the group and all of that stuff. Carlos, the guy does all these YouTube videos, and he did tool time, and he does all these things, and it's all of us doing what we do because we love what we do.
100%. And like I said, it's one of those things where I'm happier and in a more positive way. Like I'm happier today because of what my friends' accomplishments are, or because of industry peers, or because of, you know, partners that I call on now.
Because their success is yours.
I see it as I'm along for the ride. I don't, and you know me that I'm a humble person. I never, yes, you're right. But for me, as long as I'm part of, their success and being able to influence them, being able to help them, being able to do whatever for them, that's what keeps me going. And
because their success is yours in terms of you get to enjoy it with them,
yes,
right?
100%.
Those of
100%.
us that are invested with others, every time I see one of you guys, especially the guys that I'm close with, right? When I see them do something new or accomplish something new or are excited about something that they've gotten into or started doing, I get excited for them. And it
Right,
doesn't have to be industry related,
right,
right? It doesn't have to be something cool they figured out about a car or a CNC project or anything. It could be just life. Um, there's guys out there that we see. Um, I had a short conversation with Jason Ewing in Dallas, and it was seeing him go from pimp my ride guy to now he's school board member and
Oh,
firefighter, and
I mean,
he's so
yeah,
invested in his community that he made a joke that if they don't get their crap together, he might run for mayor, like stuff like that. It's just
it's
it
one of those things where Ewing is a great example of not only is he doing the same stuff we do for our industry, probably in a much more higher level, just because it's Jason Ewing, but it also shows that not only does he care for our industry, but obviously he cares for I mean, let's
people.
call it what it is, being a first responder.
Hmm.
That's community. That's he's a people person, to the heart,
Yeah, yeah.
and kudos to him. It's
Becoming more of a role model.
exactly. He's doing it on a bigger scale. You know,
Yeah,
um, and it's great to have all these people on our podcast and be able to kind of hear their story. And each time we get off of one of these, I'm like re-energized. And
yeah.
I love the fact that we get to interact and interview and you know be able to share their stories.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely. All
but
right, man. Well, with that, let's call it a day,
yep,
and we will be back soon.
we'll
Thank
see.
you, everyone, for taking the time to watch with us and share. And Elias, as always, thank you for being the other half of this show.
Yep, thank you too.
And we'll see everybody very soon. SEMA's coming up here in about a month, and it's gonna be a big one.
Yep,
All right,
looking
sir.
forward to
We'll
seeing
talk
everyone.
soon.
We'll see you.
Bye now.